Good morning. Today's meditation, we're going to have a little bit of a talk. I want to focus on how meditation can enable you to transcend the collective unconscious paradigm of fear and conflict, and how this leads to greater awareness, and how that awareness, collectively, we can change the way that we experience our world by changing our thoughts and our perspective on the world, because energy follows thought. And we're starting to wake up and realize just how powerful our minds are for creating our reality. So literally what you see is what you experience, and what you see is what you expect to see. So we all have this collective perspective. It's the basis of the film, The Matrix, this idea that we have this idea of this collective idea of what reality is like, what our world is like, what the values are, how it works, how life works. And this, currently, we're starting, the perspective is breaking up. And the reason we know the perspective is breaking up is because more and more people are waking up and seeing it. Because when you're in the midst of it, you can't see it. It's only when you step back from it and have that detached perspective, that perspective of the silent watcher that we develop in meditation, that you start to see it. And when you start to see it, that gives you the capacity to question it. And it gives you also the power of discrimination and discernment to question what is right and what is wrong, what are you being presented as truth and what is questionable. And this is a very uncomfortable place to be. And many people would just rather dive back into the perspective, the collective unconscious of how the world is, because it's too scary to step out of that. It's too scary to see the truth of it. So really, we're coming up into Leo. This takes courage. When people open their hearts, they open their minds, and this takes courage to see things as they are. And rather than be frightened by that, invoke the power within you that says, well, what can I do to change this? And we often feel quite paralyzed, quite ineffectual in changing our world. We just accept it's the way it is. Politics, our monetary system, the way we're treating the earth. You know, what can I do? It's just how it is. And there's this sort of, I don't know, lack of enthusiasm through just loss of hope, loss of any trust that we can do something about it. But what people don't realize is the world is as it is because we see it that way. We've brought into, and it's something that we're conditioned into from the moment we're born, right through our education system, through our family, through the values, through our work situations. We've brought into a paradigm. And because we see the world from this, we're sort of taught in the Toltec tradition, they talk about civilizing people. And this civilization process knocks out sort of any questioning and says, this is how it is, accept this. Like we're put into a box or a cage in our thinking. This is the matrix. And this is almost I mean, it's wired into our brain. It's almost a reptilian consciousness. Right in the center of our brain, we have the animal brain, the original part of our brain, the oldest part of our brain. And this is where, interesting, we find things like the amygdala and the limbic system. And this is where we find our reactive behaviors come from. Our unconscious programs drive these reactive behaviors. So it's almost like this is where we're connected to the collective unconscious, as well as where our own personal unconscious programs and conditionings and values and beliefs come from. And yet we start to know that if, for example, that part of our brain is triggered by life, if we wait 10 seconds, that information goes through into our frontal cortex, and we're able to step back and use a more conscious questioning, a perspective where we look at it differently. And this is really being awake and aware. This is developing self-awareness, and it's the capacity to start to see things differently. And when you change your perspective, you're going to change your experience, because really we're all walking around as if we've got those virtual reality glasses on, thinking that what we see is how the world is. And an example of seeing the world how it is the practice of mindfulness. When you are mindful and you are totally focused on the world as it's coming in, it's like you've taken down that unconscious filter, you've taken the glasses off, and you're not in your thinking mind, which the thoughts are usually connected to those unconscious programs and conditionings. You're just being in the world. And this is why when you practice mindfulness, you start to see the truth of the world. You start to see that our world is not based on fear and conflict. It's based on love and connection. You start to see that isolation is just disconnection, and that fear is isolation and disconnection. And if you start to observe nature, for example, you see that it all works on abundance, interrelationships, and love. It works on connection. And this is the truth of our world. But this is not the truth that humanity sees, because we've brought into this, we're affected by this collective unconsciousness. That this is why we could think of most people are walking around in their daily lives asleep. But more and more people are waking up, and they're starting to question. And that questioning is the key. That questioning, that why does it have to be like this? And you know, if you've gone through the schooling system, you're labeled a pain if you're the kid who always questions the perspective given, the reality given. And that questioning is our natural state. But often it is conditioned out of us. It causes a fuss. You go against the flow. You don't fit in. You get labeled. You get bullied. All the rest in an attempt that you conform to this collective idea of the world. And so what meditation does is meditation by focusing on the breath or a mantra or a seed thought, it changes your mind. And what it does is that by that focus, it enables you to step back from the thoughts that run in your mind. And these thoughts are the thoughts that have been programmed by this collective paradigm. And when you step back from those thoughts, you are watching or observing those thoughts. So who is watching them? So you start to question, you start to realize you're not your thoughts. Your thoughts are just thoughts. You are who is watching them. And as you practice that every day and you train your mind to be able to step back from the thoughts, you train your mind to not, even when you're caught up in the thoughts, you come back to the breath, you come back to the seed thought, to the mantra. That means that in your everyday life, you wake up because you start to see things from that perspective of the silent watcher, of the observer. You start to become aware. You start to question. And subtly, you start to find that your life changes because your perspective is changing. And then when you really start to realize the power of the axiom, energy follows thought, you start to realize that you have this powerful instrument called your mind. And if your mind is creating this reality that we see, you can choose how you think. You can choose to create. And this is the power of things like visualization, like affirmations. We start to envision the world that we desire. And this flows out and creates the world that we desire. And when enough of us do this collectively, the world will change. And I think it's something like, 1% is all that's required. And it will shift the perspective of the rest of the unconscious paradigm. And this is why we're in a very special time at the moment, and why you'll start to find some resistance to things like mindfulness and meditation and anything that wakes people up, because the system serves the few. The few control the many, and that paradigm we're in serves those in control, and they don't want you to wake up and realize you're in the matrix. They want you to stay, because your mind is much more easily controlled when you're in the matrix. And the other thing to realize, control is through fear. Okay, all mind control is through fear. Now, fear is an absence of love and an absence of connection. So fear is isolation. And you know that when you feel isolated, it's very hard to keep your thoughts positive, to keep your vibration high, to keep your mind open, to keep your heart open, because we are designed to be connected, to be in love. And this is why, for example, the last few years when we were disconnected from people and put into isolation and then bombarded with messages of fear, why it has affected so many people so profoundly in a negative way. They've lost, many people that I speak to have lost their trust in life itself. They have levels of despair that I've not seen so profoundly in so many people before. And I think we're seeing this especially in our young people. So the way, if you understand that different levels of different emotions have different levels of frequency or vibration, fear is a low vibration. Fear, doubt, anxiety, worry, overwhelm, uncertainty, all of these sort of fearful emotions have a very low vibration. And that is why a low vibrational energy means a lack of life force energy, a lack of movement, a lack of vitality. So they keep you where you are. And you know this, fear is paralyzing. It really is. And so that fear, that low vibration is where most of humanity are operating. And especially we have been bombarded with fear after fear after fear after fear. And there will be more, because it's designed to keep us in fear, because we're easier to control when we're fearful. So when we start talking about lifting our vibration and raising our vibration, what we're meaning is the fear vibrations are down here. We start moving into questioning, we start moving in, even anger is higher than fear. Anger will spark change. Anger is a sign that something's out of balance and often evokes change and transformation. And then we come up, and guilt even is an emotion that can inspire change, because we look at what we did and we wish we'd done it differently, and we vowed to do it differently, or maybe we apologize and put things right. And then we start moving up into hope. We start moving up into emotions that involve enthusiasm. We start moving up into gratitude. Now, gratitude is a key one, and I'm going to explain in a moment. From gratitude, we start moving up toward the emotions associated with love, openness, courage, joy, unconditional love. We start moving up to quite a high vibration that is, for most people, hard to maintain all the time. For increasing numbers on the planet, they are able to maintain that vibration, that level of vibration. We move up into peace, to calm, to tranquility, to serenity, till eventually we move up into a few individuals who are fully enlightened and stay in the very highest state of vibration all the time. And what we find is we know that where we're vibrating at, whatever level on that continuum, we are, for the most part, we'll drop down and we'll move up, but where we are for the most part affects other people. Other people can drop our vibration. The news can drop our vibration. Other things can inspire and enthuse us and lift our vibration. People can lift our vibration. Connections and love and joy and children and puppies and nature lift our vibration. And so we can start to take control of our own state, our own mental state, knowing that it affects this vibration, it affects our emotional experience. And so when we feel ourselves dropping down into the collective fear and being pulled into that paradigm, we can say, no, actually, I recognize this is happening. Like a meditation, when you recognize that your thoughts have wandered off, you have the discipline and the awareness to bring it back to your breath. You recognize when the collective is affecting you and bringing you down. And what you do is you make a conscious and aware, a self-aware decision to do something about that. And some of the things that you can do to lift your vibration are very simple. For example, you connect with nature. The vibration of nature is love. Whoa, suddenly it goes up. All you've got to do is go and smell a flower, watch a bee, talk to a tree, stand barefoot on the grass. Just be in nature, and she lifts your vibration. And we know this, we know it works, we experience it. The other thing we can do is just shift into gratitude. Gratitude is almost like between fear and love. It lifts, because as soon as you're grateful for something, you open your heart. You can't be grateful with a closed heart. And when you open your heart, in pours love. And when you're grateful for something, you create more of it. You're tuning into that power of your mind to be creative. Energy follows thought. So if I'm grateful for a blessing in my life, I'm going to attract more of that blessing. That's how life works. That's how life works outside the matrix. That's how life works when you take the glasses off, when you clear, when you become mindful and tuned in and aware to the truth, beauty, and goodness that is life. And so there are things you can do. You connect with another person in love. You connect with anything you love, and joy will be what follows. So when you're in fear, you realize that fear is just a mindset. It's not real. It's just a created paradigm. And we have this acceptance of conflict, of scarcity. We have so many values in our society that we just accept. We have this idea there's not enough to go around, so we have to compete with each other. We have to get our bit of the pie, or there won't be any pie left. Look in nature. There's not a lack of pie. There's an abundance. There's plenty for everyone when we share. When we share her resources and live in harmony with her, she provides and provides and provides and provides. There's no scarcity at all. It's a change in paradigm. It's a change in thinking. And what you will find is anybody who steps outside the collective box, unfortunately, those in the collective unconscious, in the paradigm, self-police, they will give that person a hard time for being different, for daring to think different, for stepping outside of the box. And we've got to recognize anytime we find ourselves doing that, anytime we're putting down someone who's different, someone who's a free thinker, someone who's living differently, someone who's questioning. If children question, encourage them to question. If you can't answer, show them ways to find out. Keep them open. Because when we're open-hearted and we're open-minded, we're flowing with love and we're stepping into the truth of how life on earth can be. And it's almost like the analogy of the story of the Bible, when they say that when Adam and Eve ate from the apple, from the tree of life, that this is when they came down into the paradigm. Okay, before that, they saw the world as it was. It was heaven, it was the Garden of Eden. And when they ate this apple of the tree of knowledge that confined them to a paradigm, suddenly the world was no longer heaven, it was earth and all that goes with living on earth. And they brought into this idea that people conflict, people kill each other, people suffer, life is suffering. And really what we're doing when we wake up, when we start to follow a more spiritual path, when we start to look inside for the truth of how life is, for who we are, for how it all works, what we're doing is we're treading a path back to seeing that there is heaven on earth. It never went anywhere. It's just we put the glasses on. And this can be quite a sort of awakening. It can be quite a fearful awakening, and you'll feel that pull. Oh no, I just want to go back to thinking the way everybody else does and to accept it all and just do my best and live X number of years in a certain expected way. And I don't want to step outside the box or cause a fuss. And there'll be no change. And the way that life is heading, this paradigm is getting worse. I don't like the look of the paradigm. So how can I change it? I can step outside of it and see that it doesn't have to be that way. I can use my mind, knowing the power of my mind, to envisage something else. And when we get together in meditation, when two or more people are present, there am I, is the quote. What we find when people meditate together, it brings in the love, it opens hearts, it opens minds, and it gives us the opportunity to change the paradigm, to change our world and to see the truth of how it is. And to see what we can do. And really the thing that we can do is change our mind, change the way we see things, practice meditation, practice mindfulness, so we see the world as it is, connect with nature, with her beauty, with her truth, with her goodness, knowing that that's who we are. That's how things are on this planet. And we can live in harmony with that. We don't have to destroy that because it threatens us. It threatens the paradigm. When we destroy our planet, those who drive the destruction of our planet don't want you to step outside the paradigm, because they know that nature and the beauty of the world will evoke self-awareness. It'll wake you up to thinking, hey, life doesn't have to be like this. Life can be like this. And so really meditation enables a return to what I would call soul consciousness. And it's stepping outside the collective paradigm. And, we can encourage others, and they may not or may be ready to try something different, to look at what's going on in their mind, to open their heart, to perhaps join us. Well, they might not, but what you can do, because remember, we experience what we perceive. So if we change the way we see the world, we'll change our experience of the world. And that's the key. That's how powerful our minds are. So in meditation, we're developing, we're stepping into the true power of our mind. We're recognizing who we are. We're coming into a beautiful alignment with our soul consciousness that knows the truth of things. And it's a beautiful thing to do on a daily basis. And more people are meditating, are being called to meditation as they start to wake up and see they don't like the way the world is. They want some way to cope with it better. They know on some level that there's something they're not quite getting, that there's something more. There's a seeking, and it's seeking the answers. And really meditation, I have found in, I don't know, more than 25 years of meditating, it's the answer. Okay, it's one of the huge, huge keys to unlocking the door to the truth of how life is and how life can be. And so we can think about it with our intellectual mind, and that's a start. We can open our hearts to connection, to realizing connection is it's, the life force energy on this planet has got to flow, and it flows between us and animals, between us and plants, between us and our planet, between us and our galaxy, between planets and galaxies and galaxies. It's how it works. And when we tune into that, suddenly fear's down there. We're staying up here because it's a beautiful place to be. And whenever we feel ourselves being pulled down, recognize it. We see it. I've been distracted in my mind in meditation. I'm doing my shopping list. Come back. And it's that simple. And when enough of us do this together, we will change the paradigm. We will change our world because we'll change how we see it. We'll step outside the box. We'll say no to the idea that it has to be as it is. We have to have a world of conflict, of suffering, of the few controlling the many, of increasing constrictions and that reduce our freedoms, our freedom to question, our freedom of thought, our freedom in the way that we live. We open and expand rather than contract. Our health expands as we expand, because we know that as we contract, our body's health suffers, our prana doesn't flow, our energy doesn't flow. It all fits together, and the key is your mind, how you think, how you see the world. So question how you see the world. Question the civilizing influences that those who cared about you gave you with the very best intentions, because they were given it with the best intentions. But question it anyway. So on that note, we're going to go into a meditation, and we're going to focus on the breath and go deep into a connection with our own inner truth. And from there, I'm going to do a little visualization exercise where we envision the world as we would like it to be. Well, as it is. We see the world in truth. And we realize that the power of our mind to see that, especially in the deep state, the vibrational state that we're in meditation, our mind is particularly powerful at creating when it's in that theta brainwave state. So enough talking from me. Get yourself comfortable. You want to be sitting upright so that your energy centers are aligned. Your spine is upright but comfortable. And I'm going to ask you to just forget everything that I've been talking about. Trust that it's in your mind, and you can, if you want to think about it, you can do so later. But for now, we're just going to go into a deeper state of awareness where you know all these truths anyway. So feet apart, feet on the floor, Hands resting gently in your lap, spine reasonably upright. You can be supported. And just gently close your eyes. I'm going to invite you to send a connection down into the earth. So imagine that there's energy going down through your feet, through the point just under the ball of your foot in the center. Or alternatively, down through the base chakra at the very base of your spine. And send that connection down into the earth. And know that when you do, you're connecting to love. You're connecting to abundance. You're connecting to truth, beauty, and goodness. And now I want to bring you mindfully into this present moment. So just become aware of your body sitting on the chair. Become aware of the clothes on your skin. And take your awareness to your sense of hearing, just allowing the sounds in this moment to enter your awareness as they are. And now gently bring your awareness to your breath. And just notice your breath come into your body. Notice it leave. Just let your awareness rest on the breath. So it's not forced, it's very gentle. With each breath, feel your body beginning to relax. Taking the breath a little deeper. Until it's comfortable to breathe from your belly. Slowly, deeply. As you breathe in, your tummy fills with air. As you breathe out, it gently comes back towards your spine. Just find your own natural rhythm. And as you focus on the breath, you'll find that your awareness of the breath goes inward. So you're watching your breath from within you. You'll notice that your mind becomes distracted at times and goes off on a train of thought. As soon as you recognize this, just gently come back to the breath. And come back with an attitude of loving kindness, and this will keep your heart open. Just let the breath take you down into a place of stillness within you. Thoughts are still running in your mind, but they're simply passing through, and your focus is on the breath, and your experience is the stillness. So just practice gently bringing the breath back, the mind back to the breath whenever your mind wanders. And now I invite you to bring your awareness to the center of your chest, to the area of your heart center. I want you to see a beautiful rosebud. And I want you to see the sun gently rising. And as the sun rises, that beautiful rosebud opens. It still has dew on the petals, on the leaves. But it's opening into its full glory in response to the sunshine. And it does, as it does so your heart center opens in response to the light of your soul. Now we're going to bring our heart and mind into a beautiful alignment. And in your mind, using your creative imagination, I want you to start to envisage a different world to the one that we see. I want you to envisage a world of beauty, exquisite beauty. Our planet as it was before mankind altered her. See the forests and the mountains, the waterfalls, the lakes and the rivers are clean. The sea is clean and free of rubbish. See the air is pure and fresh. The ozone layer that protects our earth from the harsh rays of the sun is complete and healthy. Our planet is pulsating with life. It has a beautiful aura of profound love surrounding it. See the animals in perfect harmony and vibrant health and plenty. See the ecosystems working beautifully. See the plants flourishing. See a great variety of plants. See the flowers and the herbs and the edible plants, all flourishing with plenty. And now see people finding ways to live in harmony with this world, to live in harmony with the balance in nature, to receive the abundance, but equally give of their love and their time, to nurture our planet through the way of living. See people living in harmony together, finding ways to work, to share, to live in community and communion. See people with open minds and open hearts, readily sharing new ideas, accepting others' opinions, learning ways to resolve conflicts. See nations living in harmony with each other, sharing, caring. Almost see a world where there is no need for governance or laws or rules, because people are living from a perspective in which their vibration is so high it is not needed. They live with the intention of love and peace. When there are matters to resolve, see councils of wise ones from every nation coming together to solve humanity's problems peacefully. Envisage an education system that creates minds that question, that teaches a range of things, from the more practical to the esoteric to the mystical. See history books opened. See all perspectives given. See a world in which art and beauty and creativity are nourished and encouraged and seen as valuable. A world where money is simply the exchange of energy for goods and services, but not something to worship or become attached to. See people actively, spiritually taking their own spiritual development, taking responsibility for it, and mindfully, consciously working through the things that they need to heal. See others helping. See teachers and students working in harmony. See a world in which energy is free. And we find a way to live that is harmless to our planet and to each other. And just keep building these images. Add your own aspects of life that you want to change. See it differently. Maybe see more people having time to raise children, not having to work so much just to provide for their families. See laughter and joy and connection. See communities that have ways of caring for those who are sick or unable or old. See the possibilities. Notice how your body feels. Notice how your heart feels when you envisage a world such as this. Feel the expansion in your physical body, the opening, the expansion in your mind and in your heart. As instead of contracting down into a certain way of seeing things, you open to new ways of seeing things. In your own area of expertise, bring in the changes that you would like to see, the values, the honesty, the integrity. Life lived with respect for all sentient beings. See right relations between people, between communities, between nations. see heaven on earth. And just notice how you feel. And if a feeling of peace is a sign that something is right and good and true, enjoy the peace. And now finally, come into your heart space, that space of the rose. And let your heart flood with gratitude for all of these changes. Profound and utter, complete gratitude for a world in which we can live in this way. And just rest in this gratitude, allowing the blessings to nurture your soul. And know that this can be and will be if we choose it. As we slowly come to the end of our meditation, I want you to allow one last emotion to flood your heart. Hand in hand with gratitude, allow courage to fill your being. Because courage is really when we move from fear to love. It is the stepping stone. And then very gently let the images go. And just start to come back into an awareness of your physical body, moving and stretching. As you slowly wake up, but keep your eyes gently closed for a few more moments. Rolling your shoulders, stretching your back. Because as we open our eyes, I want you, the first glimpse you have of the world, to be a glimpse of the world as it is, the truth. So you're going to see the world without the glasses of perception. So as you open your eyes, just simply connect with all of your senses with what is before you. So when you're ready, just open your eyes with awareness. And when we practice this coming out of our meditation, in those moments of no thought, we do see the world as it is, and we do see its beauty and its truth and its goodness, its vibrancy. And that is the truth. That is life outside of the paradigm. Namaste.